Welcome to The Kitchen Table, a show dedicated to helping you escape diet culture, gain trust with food, honor your body, and live a brighter life. Hello and welcome back to The Kitchen Table. I'm Alicia Brown, and today I am so excited. I have George Ramsay from Breathwork here with me, and I've taken a Breathwork session with George through the Let Your Body Lead program that I've talked to you all about, a session with Casey Berglund, the Let Your Body Lead professional certification. This is where I met George. He is an expert in breathwork, and he is a breathwork facilitator. He has one-on-one sessions and group sessions. And what he helps us do is leverage the breath to help unblock, or help us better connect our minds with our bodies, to unblock all of the, blockages that prevent us from connecting further deeper with ourselves. And so George is going to talk to us more about this, about the power of the breath, something that we take for granted every day. And so George, first question, why should we focus on the breath, or why is it important?
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks so much for having me to be here. The breath works. That's a good bit of my tagline, and that's been my experience. And when I did this practice for the first time, I was blown away by both how simple it is and how profound the experience can be when we really allow our breath to move into our bodies in a new way and to breathe in this repetitive 3-part pattern that I specifically teach. My experience has been I'm able to see things more clearly. I'm able to connect with my emotions. I'm able to physically feel what it feels like to move stress and tension and limiting beliefs out of my body. And when I leave these sessions, I feel more present to life as it's happening, not how I want it to happen. I feel more creative. My business just kind of created itself, honestly, from doing breath work. And I'm able to show up to life as it is and be with it and be with all the emotions that come. And this tool is just such a supportive backbone for showing up to what is a very full life right now.
Amazing. It's something we take for granted, but could help us do all of the things that you mentioned, especially in our ability to regulate our emotions or to feel our feelings more. In your experience, do you find with the people that you work with or with yourself that we're kind of detached from our bodies and from our feelings and kind of, living in the chaos without really connecting with ourselves in this deeper way?
Oh, yeah. And I was and still am sometimes. But my experience was as a middle school math teacher, and I would not at the time consciously realize this, but go home taking on the emotions of my students, of their families, my own reactions to them. And then would go home, eat a bunch of food, bottle of wine, cheese and crackers, numb out with a TV show, and had no tool for understanding what was happening in my body, which was a lot of emotion. And a lot of emotion I didn't really know how to relate to. I couldn't identify and put words to. And I definitely didn't know how to feel it all the way through. And this term, feel your feelings, I was like, yeah, I can do that. I'm a teacher, I'm empathetic. I get that. And I did breath work, and I was like, oh, I have no idea how to do that. And to actually feel a feeling through to completion as a sensation in the body was a completely new experience for me.
So it seems like you were living part of your life as a middle school teacher. I think that's so cool. Before you came into this work, it seemed like you were living kind of detached from these emotions, but through using the breath in your first session, right? You were like, wow, this is opening a whole new world for me. And I feel like that happens in my practice too. And this anti-diet work, it's we hear the phrase, listen to your body a lot. And it's okay, yeah, I'll just listen to my body now. Ding. And now I'm listening. What is it about the breath that helps us actually do this, right? Because I think that we want to bypass the intentionality, bypass the breath, and just get right to the feel your feelings or listen to the body. But what is it actually about the breath that helps us connect the two together?
Yeah, absolutely. Those taglines are so powerful. And then how to actually do them is so much more complex, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. I find our bodies are living libraries of everything we've experienced. So every event that's been supportive, traumatic, scary, we experience it and usually think it through, intellectually move through it. And our body is also literally living through those events. And so there's usually, if an emotion gets released during an event in our lives, it wants to run through our body, be processed through our nervous system. And most of us, at least I was not taught that when a feeling comes in, you pause and you feel it through and create a supportive container to feel it, and didn't know how to do that. And so a lot of emotion hangs out and gets stuck in the body. And there's more and more research coming out this. The Body Keeps the Score is a great resource here, but just showing that we don't feel feelings all the way through or are in a safe, supportive place to do so. It hangs out in the body. And breathwork is actively stirring up your body, activating your nervous system intentionally, so that those things that are hanging out can actually run through your nervous system in a supportive way and in the safe container of a breathwork session, so that you can leave actually integrating the experience instead of letting it kind of hang out in the shadows.
So you would say that like leveraging the breath and engaging in breath work helps regulate our nervous system, which helps then regulate our emotions.
Absolutely. And when I'm more regulated and in a state of regulation, I can be more present to emotions and overwhelm me and spin me back in old patterns.
Sometimes we just move through life totally reactive without really knowing what the problem is. And we're trying to get at it with our heads, right? Like, things like, what's wrong with me? I'm so frustrated. What's wrong? And we're trying to hit it from that intellectual place. But really, it's like it's living in our body and we're like almost detached from it. Is that the same in your experience?
Oh yeah. I can solve my way through this. I just need to take more action or think harder, or like put more mental pressure on this, and then it will change. And it doesn't work.
I'll make a pros and cons list. Okay. I'll talk it out. And sometimes it's just not enough. Sometimes it's like there's something missing. On your website, you talk about in your experience that you did years of therapy, but breathwork helped you unlock something deeper. Do you feel like working with someone in therapy and engaging in breathwork, the both is kind of like a power combo to help actually accessing things that are inside of our body that we're maybe not able to access, that are kind of blocked right now?
Oh yeah, that's it. That's the dream combo, I tell folks. Doing the conscious work and then doing the work that only really your breath and your body can do. And I find the conscious work happens in therapy when we can identify patterns, really create a mental map around what I'm experiencing. And it's just nice to have a space to deeply be listened to and have it reflected back. And then once we are conscious of what's happening, there's an energetic layer and a physical layer and an emotional layer that also has to be felt through and moved through for us to really make progress. And I find there's things in my first breathwork session, truly in 30 minutes was like working through and seeing and being with things I'd talked about in therapy for 3-4 years, and just the efficiency of the practice. I'm a pretty efficient person. That's a value of mine. Like, why would I not do this? 30 to 40 minutes of intensity compared to 3 to 5 years of repeating the same thing I'm saying in therapy every day and every week. And the pattern just keeps cycling. My thought is, can I get to the root of the pattern and really explore what's actually below this? And breathwork gave me a really practical tool for actually getting into what is at the root of this pattern that I'm seeing happen over and over again in my life.
So you're saying that the more you engage in breathwork, the more effective therapy became and connecting with yourself became. And so taking that, 30 to 40 minutes of your time saved you hours or even years, as you're saying, from trying to dig in and find the answers from more of an intellectual place rather than an embodied place.
Absolutely.
So sometimes I hear like clients in my same experience too, like we're lying in our bed at night, and we're like, our brain starts racing, thinking about, okay, all the things that we ate today. Okay, did I eat this? Was I good? Was I bad? And we get all anxious, especially at night. In recent conversations, I've had clients that just have this racing brain at night. Is this something that you've heard as well? And is there anything that we can do with our breath to kind of like calm ourselves down, either during that time of the day or any time of the day, where we're just kind of feeling especially anxious? Anxiety is something that I feel so many of us are kind of bogged down by, kind of these racing thoughts in the mind.
Absolutely. That's why I got into this practice. I was like, just so tired of how many thoughts were coming to my mind at any point. And eventually it's distracting. There's a life I want to go live, and the negative thought cycles that were just flooding my head. And it's like, all right, something's got to shift here. And then breathwork popped in. But yes, for me, anxiety is kind of this mask of multiple emotions and meshing with each other, usually with a story around what's happening, and then creating some physical sensation. And breathwork is great for kind of detangling what's actually here, what's under this, what are some of the stories, what are the specific emotions here. Mm-hmm. And not all of us can lay down and do breathwork at any point in the day or even before bed. And so just some quick techniques. One I've really loved recently is coherent breathing. And it's super simple. It's just an inhale for 4, exhale for 4, and then just repeating that 4 times as if you're breathing into a straw. And just breathing as if you're filling up your belly all the way will start to bring your body down, calm your nervous system, bring you into a more settled state. And just doing that 4 by 4, 4 times, I find can bring me back into presence when I'm flipping into my anxiety mode and in the future or in the storied past. And that just brings me back really noticing to your body. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So powerful. Back to the conversation about productivity. I'm just like imagining in my mind right now, like at the workplace or with our families, in the midst of, complicated discussion. What if everybody just took a pause and did some breath work and then returned to that conversation? How much more we would be able to say how we feel a little bit more, and be able to connect a little bit more, listen a little bit better, show up as ourselves even a little bit more. And there's something really unique about you, George, that I just want to share with the listeners right now. And that's your presence is like such a grounding presence that you want to be like, what is George eating for breakfast? I'll have what he's having. And so, okay, George does breath work. We should all be doing the breath work,
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Really special. And I think that it is because you're able to regulate your emotions and hold space maybe for people in a different way than at other points in your life.
And I was not here, to be totally clear. When I was a middle school teacher, I was holding space for no one, including my students. But this practice has kind of brought me back to what I do feel is my gift to share in the world. And I'm really grateful to be able to share that now through breathwork.
Thank you for that. And thank you for your sharing about how we were and how we are. This is growth, right? We all have our same stories, especially for those listening right now, like our food and body stories, as we say, wow, the things I used to say to myself, the stories that you're saying we've created in the mind. How can we unravel those stories and how get deeper and deeper to find the actual truth, help name these emotions, really identify and almost greet these emotions, right? And say hello, like with this kind of objective perspective through doing this breath work, you can find the truth underneath that. I think it's a really powerful and totally underrated phenomenon. Absolutely. And so do you have any advice? I love the breath that you mentioned before, that breathing in for 4 and out for 4, like through a straw, you said, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, blow into a straw.
So if we're in this like anxious moment of the head spin, especially in regards to, like food and body stuff, it comes up for us all the time, trying to make a food decision, going out to eat with friends, trying to think about what's the best thing for us, what we really want, what's healthy. There's a lot going on. With breath work, how would it help somebody who's really struggling with a lot of those kind of like racing thoughts?
Absolutely. This is, so to be totally transparent, I've been on my own healing journey in the last year around body, around food. And so this is very potent for me. And I'm grateful to have harnessed a lot of learnings around this. And one is, the question I think we skip over so often is, can I just accept myself right where I am? And we want to jump into problem solving mode, or we want to jump into like criticizing ourselves for the desire or the pattern that we're repeating. And instead, just like a big breath of acceptance. And for me, true acceptance has these layers to it where like intellectually I'm like, okay, yeah, I can accept I made this choice again. And then there's really settling into your body of like, okay, you made that choice again. You make sense to me. I have so much compassion for the person making that choice. And then, oh, there's some emotion here. There's like some judgment here. I can accept there's judgment here. I'm still a little critical of this side of myself. I can totally accept that. And then, oh, there's some sadness. Like, I really want to be making different choices. Can I accept that I'm just sad right now? and sadness is here. And so much of my experience is like running away from that reaction or what is actually coming up, instead trying to drop into my head and make it intellectual. And just so much of this is somatic and happening in our bodies, and our bodies are just asking for our attention and asking to be accepted right where we are. And once we can really settle into deep acceptance, then I found your world opens up and you have so many more choices. And it's not from a reactive place, it's from a more grounded, more embodied place.
Yeah, a more grounded, embodied, responsive place rather than reactive. It makes complete sense. In my practice, I talk a lot about the kind of tug of war between resistance and acceptance. And as you're kind of saying, oh, there's a little bit of judgment here. And I'm kind of imagining like if we were to be in a breathwork session right now, like that judgment, as you're saying, it has a physical sensation in the body that we can recognize. That's totally a foreign concept for a lot of us. It's like we are so disconnected from our bodies that we don't know like judgment is housed in there. Anxiety has bodily feelings. Judgment has a feeling. For me, it is this pit in my chest or my stomach. Like sometimes it changes, but it is center and it is potent. And I know what that feels like. And I can, kind of think about in my mind then, because I've felt the sensation, I can bring it back to my mind and offer it some compassion. As you're saying, offering myself a little bit of care. And it's something that I think we don't do enough of as well.
Absolutely. And yeah, can I just really hold and be compassionate to these parts of me that are showing themselves, instead of layering that self-judgment back on. Yeah.
It's so amazing how we're able to do this inner dialogue with our bodies ourselves too. I think a lot of people listening value, like you, like this efficiency, right? Like if we want to be efficient, right? Maybe you're kind of resistant to therapy right now, or maybe you're resistant, those listening, to getting into the anti-diet work. Breath work can actually be such, what I'm thinking right now is just like an entryway into exploring your body in a different way. And what I'm imagining also is that once you enter into breath work, you're going to be like, whoa, there's more to explore here. The more I know, the more I don't know. Is that usually true?
Oh yeah. It's getting people into their first session. It's such a hard practice to describe to folks. And then they do that first one. They're like, okay, yeah, now I get it. All those things you were saying make sense.
One session.
Yeah, one session. Just come give it one try.
One more thing I'd like everyone to know is that your playlists are killer. Killer playlists. You get so into the body. I couldn't recommend it enough. George, for anybody listening, can you share where they can find you, how they can maybe get into that first breathwork session with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find me on Instagram at The Breathworks. And then my website is george-ramsay.com. And I teach 2 classes a week through a platform called Open, and they're just 30-minute intro classes. Sunday at 6 p.m. PT, Wednesday at 10 a.m. PT. And those are a great, easy introduction. And then offer one-on-one sessions with clients, both one-off sessions, and folks that really want to commit to this practice. We can meet weekly or bi-weekly. And then my core program is called 30 Days of Breathwork. So this is a great way to build this into your life. And that program includes 5 full-length live breathwork classes with me, and then a program that allows you to integrate it into your life and kind of make it your own slowly over the course of a month, so that you're building a habit naturally in a way that's supportive.
Do you find it's best for most people to really make this a habitual practice, like part of their routine? Is that where people find most success with the practice?
I just hear from folks, once you realize this tool's available, you're not really going to turn away from it because it works so well, and life keeps happening. So it allows you to kind of something to come back to, so that when things do happen, you have a really powerful tool that for me just works every time. It allows a lot of ease in my life.
Thank you so much for that. Everyone go check out George right now. Pull up your phone at The Breathworks on Instagram. Sign up for one of his sessions. Sign up for the 30 Days of Breathwork. You will not regret it. Thank you so much for being with me, George, here at the kitchen table today. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Have an awesome, awesome day, and we'll see you on Monday's episode.